Hello, I'm Food Daniel. Here are my predictions for the IWFL games to be played on May 16th. Nebraska Stampede at the Minnesota Vixen. The Vixen are coming off of a very exciting home loss in overtime to the Madison Blaze, 14-8. Big props to the Minnesota Vixen for making the game available to watch online. I was able to watch the first half before I had to go out to see my local team. And it was a very exciting first half, a very quick first half, about 57 minutes. I'm sad I missed the second half because, again, overtime, can't beat that. As for the Nebraska Stampede, I guess it's not too surprising that they beat the Rocky Mountain Thundercats last weekend, but it is surprising the score, 49-6. They crushed them. What does this mean for this Saturday? I think Nebraska's going to win this game by 2 to 3 touchdowns. Yes, 2 to 3 touchdowns. Nebraska will win. Iowa crush at the Madison Blaze. Madison Blaze, winner of that overtime game in Minnesota last weekend. Now, these two teams, they met in Iowa in week 1. And Madison won it 26-20. And I believe that was an overtime game too. So that's 2 overtime games Madison has had. Okay, so these two teams go at it again. And, this time Madison is hosting, so I think Madison will come away with the win here. Iowa, they're coming off of a 44-0 drubbing of the Wisconsin Warriors. But, no, I think the Blaze will hold them off here. And I'll predict it'll be close again by 2 touchdowns or less. Now, it's easier to feel confident about making the scores now that we're at the halfway point of the season. And, a lot of these games are between teams that have already played each other once, so it's easier to guess. Okay, Houston Energy at the Austin Yellow Jackets. They met in week 1 and Houston won 45-0, so now Austin Yellow Jackets, they do have enough wins that I'm guessing most of the old Austin Outlaws are now on the Yellow Jackets, and the Yellow Jackets, I'm guessing, are now the superior team in Austin. But even so, they lost to Houston once, 45-0. They probably will again, something similar. So, gruesome win for the Houston Energy. Okay, now here's a probable close game. The San Antonio Regulators at the New Orleans Crew. Now, these two teams, again, met in week 1 in San Antonio. San Antonio won 14-0. That's a good close game. But I've noticed the New Orleans Crew, they haven't scored a point all season. They've been shut out in all of their games. So if they can't score, they can't win. So got to pick San Antonio to win this one too. But it'll be close again. I'll say by 2 touchdowns or less. Colorado Freeze at the Rocky Mountain Thundercats. These two teams met in week 2 with Colorado Freeze hosting, and Rocky Mountain won 21-0. And if this the IWFL schedule I'm looking at is correct, the Freeze haven't played a game since. If that's true, it's kind of hard to imagine, they're going to be fresh enough to take out the Thundercats this time. So I got to go with the Thundercats, and I think it's going to be by more than the previous score. I'll say the Thundercats by 3 to 4 touchdowns. Phoenix Phantoms at the Nevada Storm. I think the Storm are going to win this one. Yes, indeed. You look at the Storm's record, and, they've been blown out a couple times, but look who's blowing them out. The Utah Falcons twice and the Sacramento Sirens once. So you can't really learn much about the team from that. They did beat the California Quake 33-6. I saw the Storm in their week 1 loss to Sacramento. They've got a good large roster. They got about 30 players, and they've got some good skill players too. Now, granted, they still have a lot of players who are still getting the hang of this, but they're good enough that I think they'll take out the Phoenix Phantoms. When did the Phantoms last play? Looks like they last played in week 2. They beat the North County Stars 14-0. And that looks like, again, if this IWFL schedule I'm looking at is correct, that's the only they haven't played since. Unless there's an interleague game, because those don't show up here. So yeah, I'll say the Nevada Storm are going to win this game, and I'll say it'll be by between 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yes. Okay, North County Stars to Sacramento Sirens. Gruesome win for the Sirens. Gruesome. Montreal Blitz, the Maine Rebels. Gruesome win for the Blitz. Gruesome. Baltimore Nighthawks, the Connecticut Wreckers. Nighthawks will win this one. Because, looking at the schedule, I mean, the only team the Wreckers never beat is, the Maine Rebels. Nighthawks will win this game. I'll say by 3 or 4 touchdowns. The Nighthawks lost last week to the Carolina Queens in Baltimore, 26-0. So that's kind of rattled my confidence in the Nighthawks. But I'll say Baltimore win this one by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Detroit Pride at the Toledo Reign. Okay, these two teams played each other in Week 3 in Detroit. Detroit won 17-13. But according to this IWFL schedule, Detroit hasn't played since, while Toledo has a 28-0 shutout over the Wisconsin Warriors in Week 4. Again, 3 weeks, that's an awful long time to go without playing. It was a close game the first time, probably close this time, and I think Toledo, being fresher, if the schedule is correct, and being the home team, they'll have this one. I say Toledo will win by 2 touchdowns or less. It'll be a close game, yes. Carolina Phoenix, the Pittsburgh Passion. Now, I hate to say it because I like the Carolina Phoenix. I like Jennifer Gray. I like Coach Willie Parker, but against the Passion, do I have to say it? It's a compulsion. I got to say it. Gruesome win for the Passion. Tennessee Train at the Carolina Queens. These two teams played each other in Week 1. Carolina won 18-8. Boy, I like it that so many of the close games from Week 1 we're having rematches of. Okay, what'd they do most recently? Well, last week, the Carolina Queens beat the Baltimore Nighthawks 26-0. The Tennessee Train got shut out by the Carolina Phoenix 40-0. And the week before that, the Carolina Queens lost to the Carolina Phoenix 14-0. So, based on that jungle of numbers, I'll say Carolina Queens will win this one by 3 or 4 touchdowns. And finally, Huntsville Tigers at the Knoxville Lightning. Well, these two teams played each other last week in Huntsville. Huntsville won 46-0. And in Week 1, Huntsville beat them again 55-8. So there's no reason in the world to expect this to be anything other than a gruesome win for the Huntsville Tigers. And that completes my predictions for the IWFL games for May 16th.